Hi, this is Matt Carbray of Ridgeline Financial Partners. This is Matt on Money. Today is April 22nd, 2020. And in today's video podcast, what we're going to talk a little bit about is everything that's going on with the CARES Act. So the legislation has been passed. There are different components to it. There's the individual stimulus side. There's the enhanced unemployment. There is the aid that is going to small and large businesses. And now, with the recent passage by the Senate and assumedly the House, we should have some additional stimulus that will be making its way for small businesses. So please listen in and enjoy this month's episode of Matt on Money. Okay, let's first start with the individual stimulus side of this, because that's the part that people are starting to realize and see some of the dollars flow. And if we think about what the individual stimulus provided, it was very similar to what happened in 2009 coming out of the recession, where the government provided a stimulus on a per person basis. This is very similar to that. It's a little bit different in terms of the qualifications. So if we look at a single taxpayer, someone who has income based on their adjusted gross income, which is the key term in all this, there are some differences between income and how you arrive at adjusted gross income that you should know about. But the long and short of it is that if your adjusted gross income is below $75,000 as a single taxpayer, you are going to qualify for $1,200. And you are going to be able to get some level of a benefit that gets phased out up until the point that you reach adjusted gross income of $99,000 for the most recently filed tax year. So there's some money that's out there. It's actually double what the stimulus was in 2009. For married tax filers, the income thresholds where you are eligible and where you get completely phased out are from $150,000 to $198,000. So yeah, a little bit of more leeway for those of you that have higher income levels, have both spouses that are working in the household. So both spouses that are below $150,000 of adjusted gross income would be eligible for $1,200 per person. Now, how do we factor in kids? Because there is a stipulation in there that says that if you have children that are under the age of 17, that most importantly are listed as dependent on your tax return, that you will be eligible for another $500 per child. So think about a household of 3 children and 2 adults, that's $3,900. So the amounts are plentiful. And again, is it going to put people back in the same position that they were in prior to this? I guess you have to look at it on an individual basis, because some people are still employed. Some people are underemployed, where they may not be working full-time as they once were. And other people are out on unemployment. A quick note on unemployment. So as part of the CARES Act, there's an additional up to $600 a week that is being provided on top of whatever your state provides in state unemployment benefits. That is not insignificant. If you look at someone who makes a modest wage, the probability is that with that federal stimulus that most people should qualify, a portion of it, maybe not the full 600, a lot of people are going to find themselves being in a very similar place to where they were when they were working. So you also factor in that additional $600 a week is good for 4 months, and the traditional unemployment of 26 weeks has been pushed out to 39 weeks. So a lot of positive developments for the individual taxpayer relative to the CARES Act. Okay, so now we're hearing a lot from people that are saying, hey, Matt, awesome. I got that stimulus deposited directly into my bank account. And then I'm hearing from others that are saying, Matt, I don't have it yet. What's going on here? Well, a couple of things may be an issue. First and foremost is the IRS, the Treasury, is looking at those that have filed a 2019 tax return first, who have also put their banking information on file so that those refunds can be transmitted and remitted into the bank account that you have recently provided to them. So if you have not yet filed a return, it's not to say that you have to, because they may look back on 2018's tax return, but what if you had banking information on your 2018 return, or even 2019 for that matter, that you've changed? What then happens? Well, there's a website out there that the IRS allows you to go on there and to put your updated banking information. But there is some planning in all this, right? Because the CARES Act says that they are going to look at your most recent tax return. Well, back to our phase out levels, again, 75,000 to 99,000 if you're an individual, 150,000 to 198,000 if you are married. Let's just say that you would qualify in 18, but because of 19's income, you would not. You made too much or you're phased out. You may want to seriously consider postponing your tax return at the individual level. It's not due until July 15th. You can even extend it out to October 15th. Key planning note here, the July 15th new tax filing deadline is an automatic extension. There's no form that's required. If you want to go out to October 15th, you do have to file an extension. So just keep that in mind. But better understand what your 2018 adjusted gross income is relative to what 2019 is. And again, you may want to consider holding out filing 19 if 18 makes you eligible or grants you a bigger stimulus check than what 19 would. So those are some of the important considerations as you're talking about the individual stimulus for those of you that have not filed a return yet. Or inversely, I will say that if 19 was not nearly as good of a year as 18, that maybe you want to rush to get 19 filed. When you do go to file your 2020 return, the IRS is going to look back and say, would you have qualified? And based on the prior year, you didn't, you will be able to get money retroactively. But the opposite is not the case. They're going to look back and say, well, we gave you stimulus based on 18, but now you filed your 19 return and you're way above and beyond the income level. Good news here. There is nothing to this date that says that they're going to recapture any of that money. So take advantage of the planning opportunity that's available to you for any of you that are bordering on those income or phase out limits. Very important for you to know adjusted gross income. And if there's a takeaway from this, that would be the first thing that I would look up so that I can better understand what that definition means to me. Okay, last but not least, for those of you that are business owners, you most likely have applied for some of the very different programs that are out there. One of them is the Paycheck Protection Program. Another is the Economic Injury Disaster Loan. And I'm starting to hear finally from companies that are getting some money. But then again, a lot of businesses, myself included, did not get any funding in the first go around. So the advice that I'm going to give you in light of the most recent not full passage, but we anticipate it being fully passed. It's now in the hands of the House. It was passed unanimously in the Senate, is another $300+ billion that is intended for small businesses. Now, I don't expect much to be different here in terms of the banks saying that they're going to do things on a first-come, first-served basis and in turn prioritizing some of their better relationships, or the companies that have dedicated people, CPAs on staff, CFOs that were in a position to be able to do all of the necessary paperwork and make sure it was in good order. I highly recommend that you get in touch with whoever you filed your application for. Do not get discouraged and think that you've got to pick up and try and go elsewhere because you're going to have to start all over. So in my case, what I did is I have since reapplied. They did recommend that I have to go through the process of reapplying, which was fine. I had to re-upload all my documents. Okay, not a problem. But I also at the same time filed with another lender that I have a banking relationship with. So remember, you can file with as many SBA member banks as you want, and whoever gets your loan processed, approved, and funded the fastest is who you in turn go with. You can't get multiple loans. It's all going to be based on whoever gets it through first. But I do not want you getting discouraged. I do feel that a lot of this money is going to start to get circulated that had already been committed, the $349 billion, and then the other $300 billion to come. You want to get on this as soon as possible because undoubtedly, much like the last program ran out in 14 days, this is going to run out just as soon, or if not, in a shorter time period. So any questions you have, please feel free to reach out to us. Thank you for allowing us to be your voice for COVID-19 as individuals and as business owners. We appreciate the trust. You guys take good care of yourself. Look forward to seeing everybody in person at some point in the not too distant future. This has been Mad on Money, April edition. We'll see you in May, where hopefully we're all back to work and some sort of improved normalcy. Take care, everybody.